everyone, how's it going? CJ here, and as you're probably well aware, the iPad Pro came out a week or two ago, and I finally got to go to the Apple Store and check it out. I tried not to watch any other iPad Pro videos before mine, so here are my impressions. First of all, it's huge. When you first see it, it's huge, and you don't know how you could ever use a touchscreen device that big. But once you start using it, it becomes oddly familiar, and it feels like you're using a normal-sized iPad. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's true, and maybe it's because it's so thin at 6.9 millimeters, but yeah, it's just odd. The new iPad Pro has a 12.9-inch screen, which makes it slightly bigger than the new MacBook, and with 5.6 million pixels, it's a gorgeous display. It's not an OLED display, sadly, but it's still gorgeous, nevertheless. I couldn't really test the sound quality of the speakers in-store, but I can confirm that there are 4 of them, and they should get decently loud because there are 4 of them. There are 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom, and I think this is the ideal speaker setup, in my opinion, because it still creates good surround sound, while they're not rear-facing, which is never a good thing, and they're not front-facing, which makes the device look ugly, in my opinion. This is totally personal preference, but I dislike devices with front-facing speakers because they don't look very good. If you care about the camera on your tablet, Apple put in pretty much standard 8-megapixel camera. It can shoot 1080p at 30 frames and 120 frames per second slow-mo. They did not include 4K, which is a bummer, and they also did not include optical image stabilization, which is another bummer. But it should be a pretty decent camera, as most Apple cameras are. The iPad Pro also includes the original Touch ID, not the super fast Touch ID that's found in the 6S, which is a good or bad thing depending on if you like the super quick Touch ID or if you prefer it to be slower. And also on the left side of the new iPad, there's a smart connector for using new accessories, specifically the smart keyboard, which I'll tell you more about later. But other than that, it's a pretty basic Apple device. Rounded corners, chamfered edges, and polished Apple logo. Internally, the iPad Pro really packs a punch because it's got Apple's A9X chip and 4 gigs of RAM. It ran iOS 9 perfectly in store, and it should run iOS 9 perfectly all the time with those specs. Speaking of iOS, that might be the most interesting part of the new iPad. There's no doubt that iOS has advanced over the past couple of years especially, but it's still lacking, especially for a device of this power and size. There's no doubt that the iOS 9 multitasking features for iPad help with productivity, but a totally touchscreen-based operating system makes it really hard for media creators and professionals, which was the target audience Apple was aiming at. It makes it really hard for them to use the iPad Pro as their main device. If the new iPad Pro ran a touchscreen version of OS X, we'd have a different story, and I think it'd be a much more productive device. But it doesn't, and I'm pretty sure it never will, because Apple seems to be pretty set on keeping the mouse and keyboard-based operating systems and the touch-based operating systems apart. I don't think they want to put them together anytime soon. I just feel like there's a lot of empty space that could be used by something that iOS doesn't have to offer right now, and I think it was a good idea to make a device like this, but I'm struggling to see where it fits into the market. Okay, on to the accessories that came out with the new iPad. First up, the pencil. I really like the pencil. It was really cool. The sensors do a really good job of determining how much pressure you're applying and how much of an angle you're writing with, and It was really fun to draw with and to write with, and the palm rejection is also really good on the new iPad. The build quality of the Apple Pencil was also very good. It's very sturdy, and it feels like you're holding a high-quality device. At $99, I'm not exactly sure if the Apple Pencil's worth it, but it's a really cool device nonetheless. I was also impressed by the quality of the smart keyboard. I really like the soft touch feel, and the magnets holding the keyboard to the iPad are very strong, and that's always a good thing. I wasn't quite as impressed by the typing experience, though. The keys are really shallow and really easy to press, so I never felt confident when typing on it, and whenever I mess up, which I did a lot because I didn't feel confident, I'd reach for the backspace key, and then I'd accidentally press some more keys because they're so easy to press, and then I'd have more to delete. I think I could get used to it, as I probably could with most things, but the initial experience wasn't that great. And the $169 price tag of the Apple Smart Keyboard is pretty steep, and I'd probably advise you to spend your money elsewhere. You can pick up the new iPad in silver, gold, and space gray. There's no rose gold, but that's okay with me. You can get the 32 gig model for $799, the 128 gig model for $949, and if you want to go all out, you can get the 128 gig model with cellular for $1079. Anyways, I think that about wraps up my iPad Pro impressions, but before I head out of here, I got one more piece of news to share with you. I'm going to start uploading my videos on a schedule from now on. I think it's a good way to stay consistent and to force me to keep making videos. So I'm going to upload videos weekly on Monday afternoon. I know nothing good usually ever happens on a Monday, but hopefully I can give you something to look forward to. Anyways, I thank you for watching, and be sure to comment below if you have any thoughts or impressions on the new iPad Pro. And be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. Anyways, thank you again for watching, and peace.